uh, known as Karaoke wa Muiviga, also known as Waiyaki Wahinga, also known as Koyaki Olele Motaka. I have the longest name in Africa, yet I'm the shortest man in Africa. So I must be overcompensating for something. I am the CEO of Africa VR Campus and Center. We started, I founded my NGO in 2016 when I first used a virtual reality device. How did I come across a virtual reality device? I used to sell electronics, and usually I imported them from UK. Usually they were used or new. I still do that, by the way. But usually I preferred importing in gadgets that are rare in Africa, which I still do, by the way. The gadgets that I would see that are very rare in Africa, those are the ones that I would import. I used to watch a program called Click on BBC. It used to come at 9 a.m. Nairobi. And right, there's a background chat going on. I can hear it. Okay. Now I think it's Matthew. I think the chatter is still on. Matthew, the chatter is still on. I don't know whether you can hear it on your end. Oh no, there's a strong chatter at the back. And I'm wearing my headphones, so I can really hear it pretty loudly. I believe it's gone now, maybe. So yeah, I should go on. Thank you. So I used to import rare devices from UK, and I used to watch this program called Click on BBC. And what I did is, when I saw the VR being showcased there on BBC, I said, first of all, I was wowed by the fact that I could see myself in space. And I thought that would be a good device for me to bring in, because I've always wanted to be in space and to find myself in an immersive space. I used to be a wannabe astronaut, which I still am, by the way. So when I saw that device, I clicked import, and it was here within a week. And that time we used to use, it was called a Samsung Gear VR. Basically, what you used to do is plug in your phone. I don't know whether I'll be able to present this, whether I'm presenting the screen or. All right, let me see. I should share my screen. Yes. All right. Change Windows. Just a minute. Yeah. All right. There you go. All right. Can you see that? Can you see my media? You should be able to see my media. My the first VR devices that we used to use, and maybe even as I talk about the media devices, first of all, it is something that we are going to cater, or we are going to view in regards to the growth of virtual reality as a device or as a technology. The devices we used to use then are not the devices that are used now. Back then, we used to have um, Samsung Gear VR. And what you used to do is you would slot in your VR device into you would slide in your phone inside the VR device, and then the phone and the gear device would definitely match up or merge up and open an app where now you'll be able to view the virtual reality as it is. Back then, we never even used to call it the metaverse. It was just VR. And what did you used to do at that time? What was the application that we could have used at that time? The First of all, the YouTube VR used to be number one app to go to because there was nothing much to do in regards to VR at that time. The only thing that you could do at that particular time was the virtual uh, YouTube VR, app. So this is the device. I'm trying to change um, the screen as we move on. This was particular one made by Samsung, and you can see there you would slide in your phone, and actually the controller that you can be able to see here came towards the end of the life of Samsung Gear VR. In the beginning, it never used to be there. You could only use the side of the VR was the touch screen, and that's the only place you could be able to control your viewing and what have you. Then after a while, there was VTime, which was another app of the virtual reality. Now, and by the way, VTime still exists till today. And the thing with VTime, or the issue with VTime, is that you could only step in a room of four, nothing more. So the only thing you could do is talk. And by the way, they had very nice virtual environment. So for example, my favorite one was Orbit, where you could see yourself, looking at the overview effect of the Earth. So you are somewhere like in ISS, and you could see the Earth in its overview. So you could only be in a room of four, now normal. It still is like that today. And you see, there was no event scheduling options. So you could only meet in a group of four, talk about whatever, but you could not schedule an event. So that would be the only place where you could say, for example, call your friend, and then you can meet up in virtual reality and maybe have a chat as you overlook the Earth. I mean, anyone would like to have a view where you are overlooking the Earth. So that was the thing at that time. And by the way, I still retain my virtual reality devices. I never threw them away. So I still have my virtual reality devices with me. If you want to have a try, I believe some of the app would actually be available for use even now. And I'm trying to see whether I can quickly be changing my screen instead of minimizing all the time. So that this would be the Samsung Gear VR. At that time, the Note 4 used to heat up a lot until they upgraded it, and now we could use the Samsung Galaxy 5. Now that one at least was stable a little bit. And then of course we after a while we entered into the world of Oculus. Now, by the way, I should say that the devices that we are now calling the MetaQuests were not always called MetaQuests. In fact, the company that used to manufacture them was the Oculus company, right? So, of course, Oculus means the eye, and that was the name of the companies that used to make them at that time. Now, Oculus were very successful, by the way, because at that point now we came from using the Samsung Gear VR into what we can call mainstream VR devices. And by the way, the one on your screen is not the first MetaQuest. We had the Oculus Go, the Oculus Lift, and now we had the Oculus Quest 2, which by the way was dethroned just the other day. And this is where things started to happen, really. Now, if I would match that to what we used to do at that time in the metaverse, that time, again, I'm going to insist that we used to call them, we used to call it the VR. We never used to call it the metaverse at that time. We used to just call it the VR. What did we used to do then? Like I said, there was a lot that was going on. First of all, um, past V time and past the development of virtual reality devices, there was social VR. Now, like I was saying, we used to meet in a group of about 4 people in a virtual reality room, nothing more. You couldn't schedule an event unless the other 3 people whom you are meeting with agreed to meet with you there, and then you can have a chat. So there was nothing social really except a little minor, insignificant meeting of a few friends. And past that, the development of the Oculus device gave birth to new virtual reality apps. For example, our space VR. And it is in our space VR that things really now started to happen. You could actually now have a better looking avatar. And by the way, when I say avatar, it means the how you appear in the metaverse. When you wear the virtual reality device, how you appear in the metaverse, how you appear in VR is what we call the avatar. And I want to show you now the development of the avatar so that you can appreciate the development of VR. Yeah, here you are. I found one. And in Aspes VR, they brought in something that was not there before, the ability to make your own event, to schedule your own event. Now you could be able to not only meet your friends, but actually schedule your own event, meaning you could scale in your thought. And that's when I got this epiphany. I got this click of an idea. I was like, wow, I can make my own event. And what does that mean when you can make your own event? Now, first of all, don't forget that the events that we were accessing at that time were events usually by Americans. There was no many events by any other person, not even Europeans, not even people from South America. It was just usually the Americans. And I apologize for the quality of that picture, but that is me. That's the very first time I started social VR. And right now I'm in an event that is happening in our space VR. So when I attended this event, I was like, I can also make an event, right? I can also, you know, introduce an event that I'm interested in, talking about, African topics. And that is what I did. I made an event, and by that time it was during the time of George Floyd's death, and I made an event called George Floyd's Murder: An African Perspective. And by the way, many people came to that event. So many came to that event, and first of all, they were, surprised by not only by the fact that there's an African in virtual reality, but because this African knows about the events that are happening live in US. So they were even concerned about what are my views? How does this affect me? And I realized then at that time that we could use the virtual reality device to showcase the things that kind of like they have a gatekeeping policy to the world. We as Africans are not able to express ourselves in new platforms. So the international community remains, uninformed about what Africa is, about the status of Africa and what have you. And when I wore the virtual reality device for the first time, I realized also its potential to be used as a device of education. How many of you have studied in school that have no um, uh, things like, for example, microscope, or not enough microscope for everyone? And this is a direct question. I believe most of us here would be Africans. Did you ever do biology and then maybe you never even had a microscope in your school? And then your teacher was always, struggling to draw a direct replica of how a human cell or how a plant cell looks like. These are the things that I realized that the VR device can be able to, to mitigate. Because virtual reality, by the way, and this is an open source, data. You could actually play a video of a human cell or a plant cell, and you can immerse a student in that video. So they are not just being taught; they are actually, experiencing how a cell behaves. And this kind of new next generation educational platform, I believe, as a former teacher in high school and primary school, is the best way to teach our students. Because things that you hear with your ears, yeah, you can always remember him. And that is what we call cramming, by the way, in my locality. But how about things that you see with your own eyes? And we thought that that was the next generation VR that we can use as an implementation of education. So that was in 2016. And fast forward now to 2019, during the death of George Floyd, we also learned, voila, you can even make metaverse events. These metaverse events, of course, gave now a new platform to express ourselves as Africans. The things that we thought that the world didn't know about Africa, now we can do that in the metaverse. And the reason why I'm talking about the metaverse being a new platform is because all of us here have a Facebook page or maybe a Facebook profile. Even if you don't have a Facebook page, you probably obviously have a Facebook profile. And what will you do then if you want to talk to the world about an issue? Who is going to view your Facebook live video or TikTok video or whichever platform that you yourself prefer to use? We believe only your friends will. Only your friends will be able to come in, to your Facebook and actually be able to watch your Facebook presentation. So you're actually not reaching anybody else other than the ones who are there with you from the very beginning. So we realized then the metaverse as a next generation power tool is that when I create an event, it doesn't hinder anyone from coming into the event. Anyone in the US, anyone in UK, anyone in Canada, once they see an event, obviously they will read the title and they are going to be interested in that. And they are going to come in the event. And coming into the event allows me to express my Africanicity. And that is the power of virtual reality presentation. Because these are people whom I would have not connected with in the very beginning, in my Facebook or in my WhatsApp. These are people I could not have reached. But them coming in the metaverse creates a new way to communicate. And they themselves can also tell me exactly what their feeling is about being in Africa, about being an African. And therein, then, the power of the metaverse as an application tool to social change. So we would schedule this event depending on the topics we want to talk about. And this, by the way, is a very, very old screenshot because obviously I'm going to come to the point where we are going to speak about the platforms of virtual reality in development. See, when you talk about the development of VR, there is a downside and an upside to that. One side is that these apps are, for example, the airspace which you are using then is given to you for free. So the owner can opt to close it down anytime without warning. And that is what happened to Allspace VR. So you can see there, that's our Tales from Africa event. That was we used to call it then. And Allspace VR closed early this year. around March. And it was a big disappointment to a lot of us. Now, Space VR obviously is owned by Microsoft. Now, don't forget, this is an app. In this case, I'm talking about the app. The device is still there, the Oculus. By that time, it was still called the Oculus. But the apps that you are using in the Oculus were apps like Space VR in regards to social event. And why am I talking about social event? Is it the only thing we could do in VR? No. People come to the event, but other than listening to you, other than listening to the stories that you have about Africa, they are also asking themselves, what can we gain from Africa? And that's a good question because it also allows us to do now what we call the metaverse business. I know some of you are very much interested in this, isn't it? The metaverse business. And how does the metaverse business work? Now, obviously, those of you who are in Decentraland have learned about how to connect the metaverse and things like NFTs, blockchains, and what have you. But for me, I still believe business can be done in the analog way. And by the way, I'm not discouraging you from continuing with NFT metaverse affairs. That's okay. But for myself, I thought that a good traditional analog way of doing business can also create an opportunity to give, traders or artists an opportunity to showcase themselves and showcase the product that they can be able to sell. And that is what we did. We realized artists, we realized fashion designers, and we would take photos of their products. And whilst we were having the metaverse events, we would display the photos of the things that the producers have produced. The people who were producing, these pieces of art or these pieces of fashion, we could give them a platform to discuss. And that also gave us an opportunity to enter into something that we are not even ourselves thought before. And now I want to show you a program that we really, really gained from. One of us or one of our associates bought a 3D printer device. And this guy is in South America. And the artist would make, or the artist fashion designers would make, something artful that is a clothing. And then the guy in South America would put that drawing or that sketch into a 3D printer, and then it would produce the piece of whatever was drawn as a sketch. And so we were able to come up with crazy ideas of not only fashion, but for example, African sculpture, African paintings. And we would present this, by the way, in the beginning, I thought, what a crazy market this would be. But you know very well that the people who log in the metaverse um, obviously will buy them at a higher price than the local market because then there is a issue of shipping to them. And like I said, we used old traditional way of doing it. So even the shipment was done via DHL. So you can come up with a fashion design, or you can come up with a sculpture, or you can come up with a painting. And I'm trying to open the photo. I don't know why it's taking so long to open, but obviously when it opens, I'm going to share it with you. We made special events, generally customized, like as if it's an odd auction kind of an event. So come for an auction. We are going to have this and that is of African origin. And what did that do, brothers and sisters? It created a wider network. A wider network, not only a wider metaverse network, but a wider business in metaverse network. And as I give this presentation, I'm hoping that you're taking the notes because the whole idea is for us to have a higher and a bigger presentation of our continent in the metaverse. The metaverse to me is like a universe. It has so many people and it's so big. People could be in the metaverse for so many years and never meet or cross paths. So we can all be swallowed by the metaverse. And by the way, we would never meet unless you and I scheduled to meet. imagine itself. For example, I like to call it the Afriverse. If we continue developing the metaverse, it's going to be like an Afriverse where you and I have never met, because Africa is so big and it's so vast, and not just vast. There are people who are doing so many different things in Africa. There is transport industry, there is education industry, there is the health industry. All these people, doctors, teachers, artists, musicians, the metaverse is welcoming them. And we became the pioneers of that. I don't know whether I should stop here, Matthew, for a Q&A, or I should go ahead and finish that as I try to figure out why my photos are not opening up. Because it's quite, I'm sure it is quite a presentation to take in generally, as in one bite. Yes, after that point. So what you see there on your screen, just before you ask the question, the picture did allow to upload, is the fashion designing that we did in the metaverse. And this fashion designing, by the way, was done by very young kids. We didn't want to go to the fashion designer, the professional ones. No, the idea is to, of course, lift the youth, and that is also something that you can do, yeah, in the metaverse. So we actually taught the youth of how to do this, and most of these designs, as you can see, have been made by very young boys, by very young women. This particular one was actually done by a high school student, um, and this was money in the pocket for their parents and for themselves, of course. So there's an art also I'm trying to bring into your view, but I may not find it quickly. But you get the idea. You get the basic idea. And by the way, importing this is very easy. It's not hard, because all you do is to take a photo of it, and then you go to the metaverse. And when I say the metaverse, I mean any of the metaverse apps. Now, when we say the metaverse again, it's a huge place. Unless you and I schedule that we are going to meet somewhere, it will be very hard for us, to collide in the metaverse, because it's like the African continent. It's a lot of land, a lot of digital land, but this one is infinite, because I don't think there can be the end of the metaverse. Um, it's an infinite build, an infinite digital build space. Questions, questions, questions. As before we go on to the social growth. All right. So I believe we have no question. I'm going to play a video. All right, go ahead. Can we what? Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. All right. You can read them for me, Matthew. I'm handling two devices at the same time, my phone and my laptop. Yes. Good question. Good question. Good. That's a very good question. Yeah, let me answer one by one. And by the way, uh, Okello, is Okello a university student? Or is he an upcoming businessman around? I'm very interested also, because might be both, might be a student, right? All right. I had come here with a small surprise, because of course I told my and the reason why I'm going to do what I'm going to do next is because I want you to be hungry about the metaverse. I'm not going to gain anything by you coming, because obviously you're gonna come in the metaverse your own way. You're not going to come to the metaverse through me. So wherever you're gonna do it, possibly I will not know, or maybe I will know. Maybe you're gonna reach out, maybe I will not. So this is not a an AIM global pyramid scheme sort of thing going on here, because I don't know you. I've never even met Matthew. I met Matthew through our metaverse platforms. So, Okelo, you are the first person to ask a question. And because of that, I have been advised, so that you can believe in the metaverse economy, to gift you $50. $50 is yours. So that's 5,000 Kenya shillings. And Matthew is going to give me your M-Pesa number, and I'm going to give that to you. Why am I saying so? Your question is so nice, because you take us back to the development of VR and the metaverse. We started with the Samsung Gear VR. Now you hear that, the Samsung Gear VR, the device I had shown earlier. The device I had shown earlier was made by Samsung, but Samsung were not in the business of VR. So they contracted a company called Oculus to make these VR devices, right? So these VR devices, even though they were the pioneers, they were very limited in the apps they can handle. Now, do not forget that I used to slide in my phone, and by the way, it used to hit a lot. For those who use mobile phones and Wi-Fi and whatever, you can imagine, then you have slid in your phone in a device, and this device is using Wi-Fi or data. You can imagine how much heat will emanate from that. In fact, in the course of using it, it will tell you switch off your VR device because of the heat. So I used to throw my phone and the VR device inside the refrigerator, usually a freezer, so that it can quickly, cool down, and then I'm able to log in the VR again. So as Oculus went ahead, we had a guy called Mark Zuckerberg. Now, Mark Zuckerberg started having interest in VR. All right. So don't forget, these are two entities. Like Mark Zuckerberg is social media, and Oculus is, of course, the virtual reality headsets. Now, when Mark Zuckerberg became interested in the metaverse, at the same time, big companies like Microsoft also became interested in VR. I remember Microsoft became interested in VR around 2014, 2015, but they hadn't developed it into the social aspect yet. And that's why they experimented with Space VR now. Space VR, don't forget, is an app, right? So Space VR is an app by Microsoft. So that's their testing ground for the metaverse. Maybe they are thinking, can we make a virtual reality device? Can we? So they made one which we called the Microsoft HoloLens. All right. Let me share that with you guys. The Microsoft HoloLens came, and I apologize because I was in a trip. I wanted to do a very nice, clean presentation. So even the pictures I'm showing you, I quickly collected them for this, particular, showcasing, because I wanted you to get a picture of that. So when you talk about virtual reality, its development tripled or broke up into 4 categories. Now we have got not only virtual reality. Now, what is virtual reality technically? Virtual reality means when I go inside the virtual reality device, and by the way, I'm hoping you're going to come to the summit on the 27th, because I will not be speaking to you now. I'll be showing it to you. Virtual reality. What you see is real, but you, the wearer of the virtual reality device, you are the one who becomes virtual. So, for example, it may shock you to know that I attended Queen Elizabeth's birthday. That was in the 2017 Queen Elizabeth's birthday. And I sat between Queen Elizabeth. No, it's the 2019. Sorry, it's the 2019 Queen Elizabeth's birthday. And I sat between the Queen Elizabeth. The whole thing was live. I sat between Queen Elizabeth and the Prime Minister of New Zealand. So what I saw was real because the birthday is happening and I'm sitting at the table. But of course, I'm like a ghost. I cannot be heard, but I can hear everything that they are saying. I can even hear the bells as they ring. I can hear somebody's phone ringing. I am totally immersed in that environment. I am not aware of the world around me, the world that is physically around me. Uh, in Westlands, I was in Westlands then. I was not aware of the Westlands environment that is around me. I am only aware of what is in a virtual reality device. Now, by the way, these VR devices have got very strong speakers, and these speakers use induction, technology. So they really immerse you not only in the virtual video or the virtual visual of what you are seeing, but they also immerse you in the virtual spatial audio of that environment that you have been immersed in. So if a car is approaching you, you would actually turn to the direction where the car is approaching because you can actually tell it's coming from that particular direction. So that is virtual reality. And those are the apps that I'm talking about, usually will be about virtual reality, which I'm an expert on. But because of this development, there also came augmented reality, AR. And the lenses that you're seeing on your screen right now are probably one of the best AR goggles that we have in the market. Because AR, what that means, and I know some of you have used AR. I see on the participant list, I see some ladies here, and ladies are usually the number one users of AR. They will ask me, how do we use AR? You do it when you are taking those Snapchat filtered photos. When your photo is has those little ears poking out of your head and the whiskers that makes you look like a cat. That is augmented reality because you are augmenting what is real. You are bringing changes to something that is already real. Now, what is the business application of that? Because obviously we cannot develop augmented reality just for the sake of filters. The application of that is some of you are architectural or civil engineers, civil architectural engineers. So the next generation way as you present that building that you have in mind is you build it on a real surface. You build it on a real surface. You build it and present it on a table that is at the office where you work. But you can only see the architectural virtual build when you wear the virtual glasses. Nowadays, we even have virtual museums. We have a virtual museum in Dubai and in London. When you go in there without wearing the augmented lenses, you'll see nothing and you'll wonder, what is this museum all about? What are they showcasing? Because you'll see nothing. You can only be able to see the art presented to you when you wear the AR lenses. That's when you'll be able to see, oh, there's a nice 3D painting here. Oh, there's that over there. So you cannot see it with your naked eyes. Then the next category is MR. Now, MR usually comes together with XR. This basically means extended reality or mixed reality. Now, figure this, because everything has to have its own application. In the future, we like talking about working remotely, and I know most of you have heard that. Now, this device that you see on your screen actually has been used for that particular purpose. And I don't know whether I'll be sued by the United States military, but basically what they do is that the Air Force would wear these kind of devices, and then they'll be able to fly their drone, their military drone, instead of physically flying planes all over the place and going, physically there, they would wear this. It's going to be, paired with a drone, with a military drone, and the wearer will be in Texas, and he will fly this all the way to Somalia and hit the Al-Shabaab and fly the drone back home. So in the future, the consumer application of this is, for example, truck drivers, surgeons. A surgeon is in India, right? There is somebody who needs surgery in the ISS, in the International Space Station. Do we take a surgeon inside a rocket? How long will that take before he flies to the ISS to operate on the astronaut? What he will do is wear this device. The astronaut who need the surgery would be plugged in also a surgical equipment that pairs with this AR device, and the surgeon will be able to see as if the patient is right there under him, and he's going to operate. But let's dilute that a little bit to how we can use it here in Africa, of course. But I love thinking big. Figure this out. How many people go to universities across states? How many South Africans are in Nairobi for their university? Or how many Kenyans are in Nigeria? Some of these tuition fees increase exponentially because of travel fees, visas, hostels, all these make education very costly. Why not have metaversities where, and by the way, I've learned this way a lot. Yeah, you're talking about, by the way, to somebody who has really gone to a metaverse course and completed. And the people who are going to join in early will obviously get it for much, much less. We can utilize it that way. The lecturer or the professor wears the device wherever they are, and you wear the device wherever you are. Now, obviously, we are pushing the price to 200 USD for one VR device, meaning it is much cheaper than you going to trips across the continent. Unless you really want to, you're a travel maniac, then you can do that. But of course, if that's not the hassle, I prefer using this. I'm in my own home. I don't have even to go to the bathroom to brush my teeth or comb my hair. I plug in and I am inside the metaverse. How did it become known as the metaverse? As Mark Zuckerberg became more interested in it, that is when, by the way, the word metaverse was coined some time back. He is not the first person who coined it. Myself, I wanted to call it Makuvukiland. My associate director wanted to call it Fediverse. We all had our own names because guess what? Nobody owns the metaverse. You can create your own app and call your own app whatever. Nobody owns it. But Mark Zuckerberg, because he wanted to bring people to himself, the first idea he had is to make the avatars. When he made the avatars, I know some of you are in Facebook and Instagram and you thought, now what is this now? And I know none of you has ever used it. None of you have technically used your avatar unless when you want to comment and you're laughing or giggling. And obviously you made an avatar that looks like you. And that is exactly what we do in the metaverse. You make an avatar that looks like you. Now, because Mark Zuckerberg wanted to capture us in his metaverse, he coined the name Meta. He never coined the name Metaverse. He coined the name Meta. He realized, wow, I can actually make all my apps into one big mother company called Meta. And everyone can come to the metaverse. And when they come in, I'm going to pretend that they are coming to me or they are coming to my place. What a good idea. What an awesome idea. Now, what you're looking on the screen is my Aspace avatar that I had at that time. And we are going to come to who am I with and what that changed and how that changed my life and my business. So once he coined that name, he went to the company that was building these VR devices en masse, as in a lot. And then he called those devices MetaQuest. By that time, most people, when they are going into the VR, they were using the word metaverse. So it was like a marketing strategy. So the metaverse, that term came around, started being floated around 2021. That's when it became viral from 2020 to 2021. And Mark Zuckerberg ran and, obviously made his company now, his mother company, to be called Meta. I hope, Okelo, I have, put your answer cleanly. And because I don't want this to be a lie, as we go on, maybe you can put in your M-Pesa number there, and then you can confirm that you got something. Next question, please, Matthew. Yes. Oh, nice. Okay. Okay. Ah, just a minute. Sorry about that. Um, that I don't know what happened there. Are you still with me? Can you hear me? All right. Sorry. I think I have to reconnect my Bluetooth. Just give me a minute. All right. One. Okay. All right. Bluetooth off. I'm not going to use my Bluetooth. I hope I'm going to hear you clearly on my phone. So let me increase the volume. Oh, all right. So if you can hear me, just anyone, I'm going to continue. All right. All right. You're a bit distant from me, but I yes. Uh-huh. Before we do what? Uh, okay. Oh, I love the interest. I love the interest. Right. So we only answer 5 questions, right? Because I wanted to give you a demo, by the way. I'm sure you'd love to go into the metaverse with me. I tried sharing a TikTok video here, but I don't know what happened to that. And I'm hoping that actually some of these questions you're asking, I'm sure um, some of them can be answered by that video that I had made earlier for this presentation. Going to see whether it's ready just before you, because yes, you'll even understand about, um, yeah, I hope. Oh, yeah, I think the video is available now. Just to um, maybe change my device that I'm sharing with, and then we'll see whether you'll be able um, to see it. Just a minute here. Oh yeah, let me now try to share this. All right, now I'm going to change from my laptop. Discord will start capturing everything that is played on your screen. Okay, start now. Okay, so um, can you see that? You cannot. Oh, you cannot see the TikTok. Yes, I have now switched to my phone. Share. You are. Can you see the screen now? Can you see the screen, the phone screen? Okay, nice. So you are going with me, right? You can see that. You can see me scrolling, right? Can you see that? Can you hear the audio? All right, I'm going to talk over the video. It's okay if you can't hear it. So if you can see the video, um, that's now the MetaQuest 2 that I'm wearing. And you can obviously see how it fits in your head. I'm sure some of you have seen many videos on that. And what I did is I logged in so that you can actually go with me to the metaverse. And that's, there we go. That's a MetaQuest. And I'm going to demonstrate shortly. So there we go. I'm logging in now. And you have your controllers there. And you switch your power on. And now we are going to log in shortly. Now, by the way, you can even cast what you are seeing in the device onto your screen or onto your smart TV. So there you go. I am in the metaverse. And what you see there are the apps
of the metaverse. And there are so many. By the way, I've not ever tried them all. I've never tried them all. And some of them you have to pay to use them. So you can see your avatar there. For that person who was asking about the avatar, that is my avatar. And you can see that it's the same avatar that you have on your Instagram or on your Facebook. And by the way, now we have got even an avatar making app called Ready Player Me. And some of you will remember the movie Ready Player One. Now it's happening, right? If you haven't watched the movie, go watch the movie Ready Player One. And maybe it's going to show you the future of virtual reality. So you can definitely see there. You have got so many controls. You can link your VR device onto your TV. You can use your Bluetooth speaker in the house. You can use your home theater. You can connect it obviously to all devices. But look at the number of apps that you can use. People say that virtual reality is for gaming. I really, really, really refuse and dispute that. I hardly game in VR. I hardly game. I'm not saying I don't, but I hardly game. It's just like your phone. Some of you have got mobile phones. Some of you play on your mobile phones. They play games a lot. Others are writing emails on their phone or on your laptops, for example. Some of you are using laptops for gaming, but some of you are using the laptops for office apps. So the same with VR. It's up to you how you're going to use it. You want to play video games? You want to use it for business? It's up to you. Myself, I hardly game. I'm going to tell you that right now. I usually work in VR. Even my appointments nowadays, I make an appointment in VR. You find me there. That's where we're going to discuss whatever you want us to discuss about. So all those are applications of virtual reality. For a clearer video, you can go to Waiyaki Wahinga on TikTok or Paul Simon Kenya. I think that's my username. Waiyaki Wahinga is my name, but my username is Paul Simon Kenya. You can go and view that video at a higher detail, and you'll be able to understand exactly what I was saying. So I have the app that I do the meetings. I have the app that I do, when I want to work around, for example, I can import my laptop inside the metaverse, and then I can make my own little office where I can give someone in Canada an appointment, and they can come meet me. And that's the new way of economy, people. We can't. This is what I say about VR. We cannot go to school. I think there's a saying that says, if you keep doing the same thing, you what does the saying go? If you keep doing the same thing, expecting different results, I think you get what I'm trying to say. So this, for example, is an app called Wonder. Guess what I do on Wonder? I take people to virtual safaris, and I get paid for it. Right? So I tell people, this is Africa. Welcome to Africa. You can see me there. I'm finding Africa, and I'll explain things to them, and they will pay me for that, for taking them round the metaverse. But I'm not really in the metaverse, am I? I'm in Nairobi, and I know a lot about Nairobi. I'm in Kampala, and I know a lot about Kampala. The people I'm speaking to have never been into Africa. So we get to talk a lot about Africa. We get to talk about Africa in the metaverse. And I get paid. This, for example, 1 hour per tourist, I usually charge $20. Now, $20, you may say it's not much, but you can imagine then if I'm having 6 people. And by the way, I give them my website. So maybe they even donate. After we are done with the tourist tour, we donate. So those of you who know Nairobi, this will be now the Haile Selassie Avenue. You can see the government press house. You can see the Times Tower. This is happening in the metaverse. You can imagine then if I'm having virtual tourists. So you get the idea. And now I think I've changed another app. Let's see which app did I go next. So this is Rec Room. Now Rec Room is where we do 2 things in Rec Room. We do meditation, and we also do this is the only place I can come to play a game. And I don't play games with everybody. I only play games with my friends. So I'm gonna, schedule a game with you and with you, 6 people in a game, and then we're gonna go in and play a video game. There's nothing better than playing games remotely. You're in Canada, I'm in Kenya, you're in South Africa, and then we are playing games. Now, this particular room can take in 16 people per game. And so we play paintball. So when we do team building, we don't go to hiking Mount Kenya or Mount Kilimanjaro. We go and play a game of paintball. And those who have played practical paintball, you know what it is. So that's me. This was just a few minutes ago. Don't forget. And I'm assigned blue team, and you know how you play paintball. You defend the flag. You have a gun there. You're shooting at your neighbors there. It's interesting. And then you get people who are in your network. You really have fun. And look what happens after the game ends. You interact with the people whom you are playing with. So that's another person wearing an Oculus there. And I go and tell them, hey, my name is Waiyaki, I'm in Africa. They are so happy that Africa is there. So look what's gonna happen here. Obviously, I'm gonna tell them come and say hello. And somebody will start asking, wow, you're from Africa. So you interact and really wonderful things going on there when you start interacting with them. You make friends every day. You make new clients every day. You get new ideas every day. So that was just a quick tour of that for who asked that question. That's a very good question about the avatar and their connection. And obviously, if you ask me, if you make an avatar, don't make a name like Brian or Liam. Make a name like Okello or an African name, and then you see the power of VR happening like in front of your eyes. Yeah. Next question, or maybe I should continue with my presentation. Maybe I can take one more before I get this thing ready. I cannot do what? Oh, right. Or we can actually make a second because I can see we are at the top of the hour, and I'm not even. I wanted to give you a direct practical lesson of VR as I'm having my associate director with me, and she wanted to log in as you watch, and then we meet her in the metaverse through, right here together, and then you see how that happens. But before that, I really wanted to talk about two things. Maybe I can take two questions before I get them ready. Oh, first of all, if this is Karegeya from Rwanda, he is one beneficiary of a free VR device. Can you imagine that? Sometimes when we train you, we think you're gonna, work around, the things that are, of course, we have our own interests in VR as Africa VR Campus and Center. And I don't know whether you can unmute Karegeya for a minute because he is in Rwanda, Kigali, and we met because of VR. He came all the way to Nairobi to receive his headset. Karegeya, if you can unmute yourself before I even answer your question, I don't even I didn't get what you said as long as I heard the word Karegeya. Is this Jean Marie Karegeya? Jean Marie, is that you? All right. Maybe before I even answer your question, can you tell the participants the things that you have, been learning here at the Africa VR Campus and Center? And maybe he has got network issues because I can't hear him. Matthew, can you? Matthew, can you hear him? Because I hardly hear him. He's so distant.
Even now,
All
I'm
right.
not audible. Oh, maybe we'll use the chat.
All right. Now we can hear you. Can you go ahead and express yourself?
I'm in a very noisy place. I don't know if
Okay.
you could hear me, but if you could hear me now, my name is Karegeya and I'm from Rwanda. I'm one of the beneficiaries of one of the Africa VR and Campus Center programs. I've been given a free headset, MetaQuest 2. So me and my team, we've been working on a metaverse project, which was to provide a platform for students all over the world to be able to study in the metaverse and be able to exchange on their ideas. So that was what Africa VR and Campus Center has been helping us through. And we initially did that even though it's not yet already live and operational. But yeah, we've made the steps so far. And Africa VR and Campus Center has taught us a lot of things when it comes to the metaverse. So we usually have weekly gatherings on Thursdays at 10 p.m. CAT. So if someone here doesn't know about that, you simply need to join, engage, and then look out on the events for our events. Sometimes it's called Africa VR and Campus Center. So you will find it there and then you'll be able to join. So Paul, thank you so much. I will always thank you for that.
Thank you, Karegeya. Karegeya, by the way, the thing that I'm going to showcase next, and I hope that you can now see the screen, right?
Yes, I can.
All right. So this was actually what made me know Karegeya. We were contracted by a company which was working for the United Nations SDGs. And obviously, I'm sure most of you know SDGs. I'm not going to go into the idea of teaching about SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And who would have thought that the UN is interested in the metaverse? So the reason why I'm talking about this is we are talking about big corporation, big organization interested in joining a platform where not many are. Only me, myself, and Matthew are. So when these big corporations come in, who will they find from Africa? Who will represent Africa? Only me. And I've been in many summits as the only African. And even though Karegeya said that he has gained a lot from this, I don't think anyone has gained more than I have because I never knew that I could work with the United Nations. I never knew that I could be contracted to teach anything in the United Nations. And we continue in this category of, the technology forums of the United Nations. And you can see they are very interested in the virtual reality. They came all the way to, to experience the metaverse so that they can learn how, they can utilize it in their SDGs. So, by the way, we did that thing and we finished. For those who are interested, I can show these videos later. But somewhere along, if you watch the video, you'll see that we were honorary mentioned, and that was not the only case. Not only did we, bring in, because what we did, why was Karegeya gifted a free headset? If you can show that you can really do something around your neighborhood, and you can show that you can lead a community towards a goal, towards a certain vision and mission, we are going to come there and train you for free, train you the metaverse for free. Now, I'm not talking about virtually. I'm going to actually come on the ground and train you for free. Then, if we see that whatever you are doing is compatible with the metaverse, I'm going to leave you with a headset or two so that you're able to do more with the metaverse. And you can actually tell me, Paul, I'm not a tech savvy. I don't know much about technology. How the hell will I learn about the metaverse? Let me ask you something. Is there anybody here who have logged in and is not using a mobile phone? because I really doubt that we are not using our mobile phone. Let me show you this girl here. And by the way, you can read about this girl on our blog. This girl represents a girl from remote Kenya who has never interacted with technology before. We are not talking about a VR device. No, I'm talking about even a mobile phone. She had not interacted in a mobile phone. And those of you who are here from Kenya will look at her and we realize that she's a Mokorino, one of the people who don't even interact with technology. But her name is Margaret Wanjiru. And she came, she's a group of 6 girls who actually came in, and we were challenged. We were given a challenge, but by our international friends. They like giving us, by the way, challenges. Why? Sometimes I think it's because they think that we cannot do it because we are in Africa. But I'm like, we will take up the challenge. We were challenged, dear friends, that in a course of 4 months, the girl whom you see now wearing a VR headset on her head, who knew nothing about technology. And I'm not kidding. You will meet this girl at the summit. I'm sure she's going to be joining us at the summit. She came and she'll come in dressed as that. She's a Mokorino. And, we were challenged. Fight these girls and let them compete with Americans, American girls, and girls from UK, and girls from Europe, and girls from wherever, all these big places, from Australia. And let's see whether they will make it. And of course, that was a challenge to me. And because I'm very passionate about Africa, by the way, I'm one of those people who would want to live and die in Africa. I love Africa. I took it up as a challenge and I said, we'll do it. So together with our associate directors, just like we did with the likes of Karegea when we were trying to bring them to the metaverse for SDGs competition, this one was different because the girls didn't know anything. It's not like Karegea. Karegea knew about using a laptop or a mobile phone or a desktop, but the only thing we needed to teach him is, how to use a VR headset. And because he knew how to use a phone, using a headset was very natural. And by the way, I'm going to tell you that it's very easy if you know how to operate a mobile phone. It will be so easy to operate an Oculus headset. You don't need much training for that. These girls, like I say, they came to a challenge between girls who are from the rest of the world. The girls whom I always joke that they are always born with a tablet in their hands or a mouse in their hands, but they came together. And within 4 months, we had grooted them how to use a phone, how to even register for an email, because again they didn't they didn't know how to do that. And guess what, people? They went against girls from across the world. And as of this year, they won the Best Social Impact Award. Some of these girls are now waiting for scholarships across the world. And don't forget, they didn't know anything to do with tech, leave alone VR. So when I say we can change our way, when I say we can change a lot of stuff with this, I'm not kidding. I'm really sure we can. And we can even challenge the stereotype that Africa is just a consumer. Because again, I really want to change that narrative that we are just a consumer. So here we are now. I wanted you to see the ceremony that gave these girls. I don't know whether I'll be able to do that. Let me try. I'm gonna now take you to the metaverse, and then you will see the night that these girls won. And what you'll see now. Oh, sorry about that. Let me try and change windows. And I'm sorry, guys, I didn't prepare this good enough, but I have a good excuse why. Marcel and Brianna, we had a great
time together, and it was great hearing from the keynote speakers and hearing the feedback. So
we are
you
in the
all.
metaverse now, and this is the event where the girls were being gifted. So this is the metaverse, and you can see avatars all over the place. So just listen for a while.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Moving on to the next award, then the Social Impact Award. This again, such hard decisions, but we gave this award to the African Power Girls. Congratulations on winning the Social Impact Award.
African Power Girls, please
But
come
you
on
can see these
stage.
girls.
On stage.
Oh, by the way, these girls are now earning in the metaverse. They earn money in the metaverse, and they finished high school last year. Most of them are barely 19 yet. And right now they are writing a proposal for that victory so that they can be funded
Congratulations, girls. Would you
about
like
the
to
business idea that they used to win.
say a few words?
I was gonna say, sorry, I'm not sure what order I was supposed to go in, but before you guys say.
So I know I can spend the whole day here talking about the metaverse. I'm going to post there because we are at 1/4 past. And I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that, Matthew. I'm going to lock this now, and it's up to you now what I'm gonna do next. I think you come here for an hour. I think that's what you do, right? To the what? All right. Or maybe the best thing that you can do, people, is I'm sure there was a lot of questions that we have not asked. Maybe Matthew, you can create a Zoom because I can be able to work Zoom better than Discord. Maybe you can create another event maybe along the week and maybe make it 2 hours because I'm sure I can see that the chat thing has like over 73 messages, and I don't know. Obviously, there are good questions being asked there, and we obviously want to answer them before we actually come to the ground on the 27th. And we are going to bring the headset people, so you don't have to worry about much. What I'm going to tell you and advise you to do is come to the event at Kenya, whatever KCA University, and you'll be able to obviously meet with us, and we'll hold your hand as you get to experience the metaverse. Yes. Yes. Or I think I would really find it hard for me to, and I'm sorry about this. I'm going to find it hard for me to chat, in Discord. I would really campaign for making a Zoom, or another Discord call. We'll chat in the box and see what's workable with that. I'm a terrible, terrible chatter. When it comes to chatting, I obviously fail most of you, and because we have